Have you ever had an optometrist shine a bright light into your eye, and suddenly you see a dark, branching tree taking up your field of view? Those are your own blood vessels. They have to be right there on the retina to deliver a constant supply of oxygen to your energy-hungry visual system. But this biological plumbing comes with a major design flaw. The vessels physically get in the way, casting shadows and blocking a portion of what you see. Birds do not have this problem. They possess some of the most spectacular vision on Earth, able to lock on to a tiny moving target from the sky and dive after it at extreme speeds. To achieve this kind of ultra-high resolution, unobstructed sight, the avian lineage made a radical evolutionary trade. They completely eliminated the blood vessels from the inner layers of their retinas. By clearing out the plumbing, the bird eye acts as a perfect, unblocked camera. But pulling the blood vessels means removing the tissue's primary oxygen supply. And in the biology of vertebrates like us, turning off the oxygen means rapid and total cell death. For complex animal life, there is a strict biological rule. Tissues that perform heavy computational or sensory work require a massive, uninterrupted flow of oxygen to keep functioning. If you cut that supply to a mammal's brain or retina, the cells begin malfunctioning almost immediately. Within minutes, the tissue starves and dies. The eye of this red and green macaw contains one of the most metabolically expensive, energy-hungry tissues in the entire animal kingdom, yet it operates entirely without a direct oxygen supply. To figure out how this active tissue survives completely cut off from the main power grid, researchers had to look for a workaround that bends the absolute limits of biology. Complex life thrives today because of an ancient evolutionary advantage called aerobic respiration. Put simply, our cells use oxygen to extract energy from food. With oxygen, one glucose molecule produces a massive payload of 30 ATP. Without oxygen, the backup system, anaerobic glycolysis, breaks down that same glucose, but the yield shrinks drastically to just 2 ATP. For a long time, nobody knew exactly what was happening inside a bird's eye. Recently, evolutionary physiologist Christian Damsgaard and his team used microscopic sensors to measure the exact gases in the retina. They discovered that the inner retina lives in a state of chronic total anoxia, zero oxygen. It survives entirely on that terrible, low-efficiency backup system. But this creates a major logistical nightmare. To power a high-performance visual organ using such a low-efficiency fuel source, the bird requires a massive, continuous influx of sugar just to keep the lights on. Running the eye entirely on anaerobic glycolysis comes with two deadly side effects. First, the inner retina demands 2.5 times more glucose than the rest of the bird's brain. Second, this inefficient burning process generates toxic lactic acid as a byproduct. The answer to how birds manage this lies in a strange, radiator-like structure at the back of the eye called the Pecten oculi. For 4 centuries, anatomists debated its function, with many assuming it simply had to be a way to pump oxygen to the retina. The Pecten oculi is not an oxygen radiator, but a high-capacity glucose pump, injecting sugar directly into the vessel-free tissue. Simultaneously, it acts as an active vacuum, pulling toxic lactic acid out of the retina before it blinds the bird. The Pecten oculi is an extreme biological compromise. It is a heavy-duty industrial waste and supply pump, bolted securely onto the eye to pay the heavy metabolic cost of perfect, unobstructed vision. By examining the eyes of modern reptiles like crocodilians, researchers estimate this physiological split happened deep in the dinosaur era, long before modern birds took to the skies. It highlights a key feature of natural selection. Evolution acts as a tinkerer. It willingly sacrificed the elegant, high-yield efficiency of oxygen metabolism for the sheer survival advantage of seeing the world in higher resolution. That early hardware upgrade laid the foundation for the incredible capabilities of modern birds. Whether it's an owl tracking a mouse through the dark, or this hummingbird precisely locating a flower while hovering in midair, these intense visual tasks demand an unobstructed lens. Nature doesn't design flawless machines. It makes deals, trading critical vulnerabilities in one system to gain a highly specialized superpower in another. Because our mammalian ancestors never made that specific trade, human tissue is deeply reliant on a constant atmospheric connection. That makes us incredibly vulnerable to even a brief interruption in our oxygen supply. During a stroke, blood flow to parts of the brain is cut off. Without oxygen to power aerobic respiration, the energy-starved cells break down and immediate, devastating tissue damage occurs. This Avian hardware provides a distinct roadmap for human medicine. Researchers are now decoding the specific molecular pathways that allow these high-performance neurons to tolerate a lifetime of zero oxygen without the cellular collapse we see in our own brains. By deciphering the most extreme, rule-breaking workarounds in the animal kingdom, we might eventually unlock new therapies to protect our own organs from oxygen deprivation, pushing the